Welcome back, dear children. Muscular movements are the characteristics of majority of vertebrate, including man. Alternate contraction and relaxation of muscle fibers are responsible for this movement. These muscle fibers are bounded by a membrane called sarcolemma. Its cytoplasm is called sarcoplasm. This sarcoplasm contains protein threads called myofibrils due to the presence of proteins such as actin and myosin. There are three different types of muscle tissues. We have permanent slides of these muscle tissues are available in our zoology lab. We can observe it through our microscope. There are three different types of muscle tissues: skeletal muscle tissue, smooth muscle tissue, and cardiac muscle tissues. We have permanent slides of these muscle tissues are available in our biology lab. We can observe through our microscope. Firstly, we are observing skeletal muscle tissues through compound microscope. We can see skeletal muscle tissues through this microscope. Here you can see striated muscles. These are attached to the skeleton or body wall, so they are called skeletal muscles. Alternate light and dark bands are present in them, so they are called striped muscles. They have cylindrical in shape with blunt ends. Cells are multinucleate. They contract at our own will, so they are also called voluntary muscles. They fatigue when overworked. Non-striated muscles. Here you can see non-striated muscle. These are also called smooth muscles. These are occur in the walls of hollow viscera. These are mainly located in the internal organs. They are long and spindle shaped cells. There is no light and dark bands in them. Cells are uninucleate. They contract without our will, so they are called involuntary muscles. No fatigue when overworked. Next one, you can see here cardiac muscle. It occurs in the heart walls only, so they are called cardiac muscles. These are short cylindrical cells form a network. Cells are uninucleate, and also they have alternate light and dark bands in them, and also these are branched. Also intercalated discs are present in them. They contract without our will, so they are called involuntary muscles. They do not fatigue when overworked. All chordates possess well-developed organ system. One of the important organ system is skeletal system. The endoskeleton of human being is made up of bone and cartilage. Bone is a hard connective tissue. Cartilage is elastic skeletal tissue. The place of articulation of two or more bones or a bone and a cartilage is called joints. Today we are discussing about different kinds of joints present in our body. There are three different types of joints: fibrous or immovable joints, cartilaginous or slightly movable joints, synovial or freely movable joints. Fibrous joints. Firstly, we are talking about fibrous or immovable joints. There is no movement between the joints, so they are called immovable joints. For example, joints between the bones of cranium. It is a type of immovable joint. They are permanently fixed and no movement is allowed in between them. Then second one, cartilaginous or slightly movable joints. There is slight movement between the joints. For example, these joints are found between vertebrae of backbone. It is a kind of slightly movable joints. Third one, synovial or freely movable joints. There is free movement between the joints. Synovial fluid and synovial membrane are present in between the joints. There are different types of freely movable joints or synovial joints. For example, ball and socket joints, hinge joints, gliding joints, pivot joints and saddle joints. Here you can see it is a kind of ball and socket joint. Humerus with a shoulder girdle, femur with a hip girdle. These are the examples of ball and socket joint. In such joints, one of the bones forms a ball-like head while the other forms a cup-like socket into which head fits in. It allows the free movement of the bone with the ball-like head. Third one, synovial or freely movable joints. There is free movement between the joints. Synovial fluid and synovial membrane are present between the joints. There are different types of synovial joints present in our body. For example, ball and socket joints, hinge joint, gliding joints, pivot joints and saddle joints. First one, ball and socket joints. In such joints, one of the bones forms a ball-like head while the other forms a cup-like socket into which head fits in. It allows the free movement of the bone with the ball-like head. Examples, shoulder joints and hip joints. Here you can see shoulder joints and hip joints. Second one, hinge joint. In this joint, two bones are fitted like the hinge of a door, so it allows the to and fro movements only in one plane. They are also provided with strong ligaments. Examples, elbow joint, knee joints between the phalanges of fingers and toes are the examples. Third one, pivot joint. In this type, one of the two bones is always fixed while the other is able to move freely over the former. So, the movement is confined to the rotation around the pivot. The articulation of the first vertebra with the second vertebra is an example of pivot joint. Next one, gliding joint. It is a biaxial joint in which articulating surface of the bones glide one above the other. It is seen between the forearm and wrist. In this joint, one bone has imperfectly developed ball and other bone has imperfectly developed a socket. For example, joint between metacarpal of thumb and corresponding carpal.